Hey, how you doing? I was just out here working on this stuff, listening to Rush Limbaugh. Here, this is this is like the end of June of 2020, and the stuff going on in this country is just nuts. I'm going to get to the point. He says there isn't just one cause for the school systems going stupid and the colleges being absolutely sideways. No, well, that's true. There isn't just one cause. But I think there's a primary one. Tell you what it is. There's a lot of good people in this country. A lot of people that love God with all their heart. Jesus, Lord, Savior, yes. All of that, that's fantastic. But they've been told that the ministry is, it's 1 hour a week on Sunday morning. I know that's it, and it's maybe crunching it a little bit far. No, it's not. The ministry, meeting the need of somebody else, meeting somebody else's need, to minister to someone's need. Ethical capitalism is the practical functioning of ministry, meeting somebody else's need. You make a car, make a good car. You build a house, build a good house. Finished product, customer, paramount importance. Whatever you do in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord. It gets really simple. Whatever you do in word or deed. Oh, how did Jesus say? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Herein is contained all the law and the prophets. We are in the new covenant. We live in the new covenant, not the old. He takes away the first that he may establish the second. Jesus is the fulfillment of the old covenant, the establishing of the new. And in the new, he said, under the old covenant, the greatest among all of those, the prophets and all of that, was John the Baptist. And in the new covenant, what do we get? The new birth, born again, born of God. And I tell you the truth, through the new birth, all men are created equal. Now the church in the box can go really sideways with this, and they have, totally sideways, especially the bunch that I was in connection to for like 40 years, 30 years. I haven't been inside of a church in a box for several years now. They've kicked me out of a few. Because I have said that through the new birth, all men are created equal. The ministry, whatever you do in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord. Each one called, each one equipped, each one empowered, each one anointed. Apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher is the synopsis of the DNA of God in us. That's why the new birth is so important. Whenever you look at birth, you have to look at and observe the DNA characteristics of the parent in the child. Paul, in 3 different places in the New Testament, talked about the DNA of God in us, the equipping of the saints for the work of the ministry. Okay, get back to the primary point. What's happened to our schools? People believed the lie, tentacles of deception. They believed the lie that the ministry was one moronic moment in time, 1 hour a week on Sunday morning. When the ministry, meeting the needs of somebody else, it's raising kids, changing diapers, fixing a sandwich. It's being a cop, a good cop. There's a lot of good cops out there, a lot of good police officers. I know there's some bad ones. I've met some. I know some. But there's a lot of good ones. They minister to the needs of the people. If there isn't any punishment, there is no protection. The punishment of the guilty is the protection of the innocent. You remove the punishment, you got no protection. The ministry covers all of life and all of godliness. School teachers, equipped by God through the new birth, began to look at their, I've heard them stand there and say, I'm involved in a thing that we call ministry. What you're involved in is secular. And the church in the box potentates have looked at the world and said, oh, the world is secular. Secular means absence of the presence of God. The absence of the presence of God. That's secular. Okay. The church in the box, a lot of times, is absence from the presence of God because they have told people that what you do is secular. No, what we do is we meet the needs of those around us. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't born again who press to meet the needs of those around. And I commend them. It would be nice if they were, oh, this is my opinion. My opinion. Love for them to be born again. Whosoever will, let him come. Jesus said, I will that all be saved and come unto the knowledge of the truth. He wills that all be saved. Okay, so, there'll be stuff in the comments thing maybe, and there'll be unsubscribed stuff. Don't care. I want to tell you the truth. The ministry, apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher, is the DNA of God in us. We each, every born again one of us, has an equal volume blended portion of our Heaven Father's DNA in us. That's why it's called the new birth. That's why Jesus said to look at God and call him Father. But to as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. Either the new birth is real, and salvation is real, and what Jesus did is real, or it's not. It's one or the other. Personally, I believe he did his part, totally, completely, and he did it awesome, perfect, magnificent. Jesus completed all of his chores fantastically. He made it possible so that anybody could be born of God. Whosoever will, let him come. The ministry covers all of life and all of godliness, each one of us taking our place and doing our part. It's really simple. We're all, he wants all of us to be involved in it. 24/7, because it is. It's just a thing. It's what you do. Fixing cars, building stuff. It's not, when it comes into the day-by-day stuff, it's not capitalism. The almighty buck is not the bottom line. It's ethical capitalism. Meeting the needs of those around. And I know there's a lot of people in this country especially, because this country was built upon the principles that Jesus brought to this earth. That's why in the Declaration of Independence you find the words, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Talking about natural birth. Okay? Talk about spiritual birth. We hold these truths to be self-evident that through the new birth, all men are created equal. And it's a church in the box and the church in the box potentates that have created a colossal size mess. A colossal size mess. They have destroyed so much stuff by saying, this is the ministry and I am it. I'll tell you what, that's bullshit. Each one called, each one equipped, each one empowered, each one anointed. Through the new birth, all men are created equal. And it's time to remove some of the tentacles of deception, because there's a lot of them out there. So, there, I'm going to go back to listening to Rush Limbaugh, and I would that each one of you take your place and do your part, because you're awesome. Okay? Every born again one of you, awesome, magnificent. Jesus made it possible for each one of us, you included, to be a superhero, because you ain't just human anymore.